All right, you're welcome back. Hit that like button, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. So, I really wanted to talk about Carlos King. Carlos King did, Carlos King went over to Dish Nation. As you guys know, he's trying to promote the new season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And so he went over on Dish Nation. He had quite a few things to say. So I do want to get into some of the things that he had to say specifically about the season, about Kimmi and Maurice. And I also want to talk about the update in relation to Jackie's daughter. Hello. I want to get into all of that today, but hit that like button as you guys come in, please, and thank you. Okay. So let's do the Love and Marriage Huntsville stuff first. So Carlos King, of course, as I said, was pitching or talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville. And interestingly enough, he mentioned the whole having a baby on Destiny when they were dating. My thing is, it did not seem like a serious relationship at all. I don't think anyone took it seriously. I don't even think Destiny took it seriously because she was out here practically interacting with other people, talking about other people in front of Lance's family. So I never got the impression that it was like they're locked in or anything. So I personally just think it's given storyline, in my opinion. This is just my personal opinion. It could have been true about her finding out on the internet, but I feel like her and Lance, I don't get the impression that they were actually actively in a serious thing. I think it was more like drive-bys allegedly, because he wasn't exactly claiming her, she wasn't claiming him either. So it's like, I don't understand why all of a sudden there's a storyline that Lance had a baby on Destiny whilst they were dating. It's almost like they're trying to bring the whole Martell having a baby with Arionne storyline back, and trying to sort of like pander to the viewers a little bit, to kind of try to make it okay. At least that's the impression that I get from it. So for me, I'm not falling for the shenanigans because I'm just like, it seems like recycled storylines all over again. I know like a lot of people are like, oh, this new season is refreshing, because I've seen like quite a few people saying the new season is refreshing and things are going well. I have a completely different perspective on that personally. I feel like I don't necessarily feel like it's going well as people are saying. I feel like this season feels like a recycling of old storylines in a way in which it is made to seem like, oh, it's new and fresh, like the whole Lance and Destiny business. I'm not falling for that. So that is one. I think the other thing that I thought was interesting was that he was talking about how he feels like the most explosive couple this season would be Kimmi and Maurice. First of all, we know enough to know that they give nothing, in my opinion. And even when they are on our screens, all they talk about is sex. That is all they talk about, right? I don't know if we can talk about that over here on YouTube, but all they're talking about is, interactions, right? And I feel like there isn't more that they're adding to the storyline that is going to create something fresh. Hi, Braylon. Good morning. Good to see you as well. Yes, good to see you. Everyone, Braylon is a content creator like myself, so please make sure you go over on his channel and show him some love. Always good to see you, Braylon. Thanks for joining in. So, yeah, so for me, when I think about like this whole like, because Carlos was trying to make it seem like, oh, this season is going to be explosive, and like, Maurice and Kimmi would be out here giving us some explosive season. It's like watching paint dry when it comes to those two. They don't give us anything. Maurice talks around in circles, Kimmi talks around in circles. They try to intellectualize the conversation when it's just like very basic conversations. Like, I don't know why you lot try to make it so serious. So I do not believe that we're going to get anything fresh from them. If anything, I think it's going to be a replica of what we've always gotten from Love and Marriage Huntsville, where it's pretty much like watching paint dry, in my opinion, right? So if you think about, he was talking about how Kimmi and Maurice are going to really be discussing Maurice's sexual appetite. You know, he likes to have sex every single day, and she's a working mother and a woman. And I'm just like, okay. And doesn't that storyline remind you of a storyline we've already discussed in the past? Oh, wait. Absolutely. This storyline has been discussed, has been washed, has been run through. So it's like, why are we bringing the storyline back again like it's something new and fresh that no one has ever talked about before? And it's ridiculous because there was a whole season of it when he was talking about this when she had cancer. So it's like, okay, so now she is fully healed, and now you want to bring back the storyline of sex? Like, is it that you guys don't have anything else? So now we have to endure a whole season of Maurice and Kimmi talking about their sex life. Like, I'm not ready for this. And I'm just like, this is just a testament of how they do not have dynamic people on the show. For me, I feel like the fact that you can't come up with better storylines, and when you go on somewhere like Dish Nation to promote the season, you're very excited to talk about how the big thing is that they're discussing their sex life. It's like, are we serious? So that's the biggest storyline that you got out of the whole season? If that's the biggest storyline they got out of the season, then that is a problem. They have some serious issues. They need to go back to the drawing board. Please hit that like button as you guys come in, please, and thank you. They need to go back to the drawing board because it's like, how is it that sex is the only conversation that you lot know how to have? Why couldn't they have brought new couples to the show? If you're really trying to push dynamic couples, right? Who are doing very well in Huntsville, I'm sure they can find other people that are making money, living well, and have healthy dynamics, right? That they can bring to the show. But I feel like instead you are continuing to go with the trashy people that have not produced anything in how many seasons. We're tired of the constant season providing us with nothing new. What are you providing us with? Right? It doesn't make sense at all. So I just think like things like this is where like I feel like Carlos loses me on a lot of things, to be completely honest. But the fact that you're going to promote your show and the thing that you really want to talk about and you're very excited to talk about and highlight to us is how this man's sexual life and how these people's sexual life is a topic of conversation. Like, miss me with the nonsense. You mean to tell me that you couldn't have gotten, like, I don't know, better content? You couldn't have highlighted things that were more important, that you could be like, oh, we're talking, this happened and this is part of the conversation. It's just like you could have highlighted other things like, oh, this season you see them working more on their business and doing this and doing that. And this is why you know it's some BS. And the season is not going to be about no business. Because I know people like to make it seem like, oh, you know, people that are Melody's fans don't want the show to succeed. But it's not about that. It's about, does the show itself have the qualities required for it to succeed? Are we doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? We talk about insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. And that's what it feels like when it comes to this whole Love and Marriage Huntsville. It feels like every single time, all it is like doing the same thing over and over again. And then we're doing it differently. And then we're blaming everyone. Oh, you lot don't want to support. Oh, content creators are bashing the show. When it's like, you guys don't give us any new content. Why is there a new season of a show if we're not going to get any new content for the show? Part of the reasons why people were not really feeling Real Housewives of Atlanta is because people felt like the storylines were stale, right? And so I feel like it's very similar here. If the whole season is going to be about Maurice's and Kimmi's sexual life, like, I don't want to hear that. Miss me with the nonsense. Like, can you show me something else other than their sex life, please? Because I do not care about their sex life. I don't think anybody cares about their sex life. I don't even think Kimmi cares enough about their sex life, in my opinion, right? So I just think this is just a storyline. This is trying to distract. Maybe it's also trying to prepare us in case information comes out about him stepping out. And then maybe they'll make it seem like, oh, it's an open relationship. Who knows? It could absolutely be that. But all I know is that it is just very, very weird to me. Like the whole fact that you are going to promote your business, your business, your the new season, which is his business, the whole season, and what you're talking about is sex life is crazy to me. All right. So my thing is, right? He then talks about how, he feels like they can just schedule it in the calendar. I'm like, this man wants to have sex every single day. Did it occur to you that maybe there is a multiple times a day as well? Did it occur to you that maybe something else is going on and that needs to be verified and that needs to be checked, diagnosed? Maybe perhaps that is something that should be checked, looked into, because it's like, if it's a reoccurring storyline, then he is clearly not um sexually satisfied, right? And that's not to say Kimmi isn't sexually satisfying him. It just means that he, what for whatever reason, has a huge appetite that is not being satisfied, right? So my thing is like, why do you have those appetites? Are these some of the things that are going to be explored properly? And will we be seeing some counseling and him working through those issues, as opposed to us seeing Kimmi telling him, "Oh, I'll put it in the calendar," or some nonsense like that? So, anyways, I'm already bored about the idea that this is what we're going to be watching for the new season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And it must be a huge part of the storyline if that is all he decided to highlight to us. The whole Destiny and Lance thing. So they're going to milk that. And then the whole um sexual calendar and sexual appetite that Maurice has. What a ill, disgusting. Just the idea of it, I find disgusting. Anyways, so my final thoughts on that, so we don't beat the dead horse, is I will be watching, we'll see, and I will come over here and talk about whatever it is that comes up if I feel like it's interesting enough. If not, if you all see me like completely act like I didn't see it, that's because there's nothing to say on the issue. One last thing that I wanted to mention on that really got me thinking. Carlos is who we think Carlos is, in my opinion, right? Carlos was basically asked his favorite storyline. And he basically then said that the whole Portia and Shamia thing was his favorite storyline because he likes when real conversations are taking place. I'm like, pause. I don't know anybody that would feel like that having two friends that have known each other for such a long time, battling through it on TV is a favorite storyline. I don't know, not one person. So I'm just like, why? Especially knowing how bad it's gotten. And to say something like that, I was like, dude, wow. There is no heart there. At least that's what it feels like, or maybe the drama overshadows anything called heart. Because that's what it absolutely feels like. Now, let's shift gears a little bit from Carlos King and let's talk about the update on Basketball Wives drama. So, let's talk about this. Okay, so Chantel decided to enter the chat, right? So now it's Chantel versus her sister. And Chantel says, wait, hold on. Aren't you the same daughter that pulled a on Jackie? Okay. So first of all, guys, I'm seeing this for the first time. And yeah, so we've done it as a PDF, but like I haven't actually read the stuff. So I'm reading it for the first time with you guys on. So if I pause, that's initial reactions. So I don't want to say the word NIFE because I don't know if that's I don't want no issues. So you got three kids she's never met in person. Oh, whoa. Whoa. Three kids? Not even one kid. Wow, that's crazy. You got three kids she's never met in person, but you want to be on the internet taunting me. Wow. Girl, tell me you have Stockholm syndrome without telling me you have Stockholm syndrome. You should leave me alone. Wow. Okay. That is some crazy ish because if she pulled out a mm, and then had the audacity to be saying like, oh, you were disrespectful to mommy, girl, you lost all the rights to be able to say she was disrespectful because your A was disrespectful pulling a knife on your mother. So this is why I feel like people need to stay out of other people's business, because just because it was your experience and it wasn't your sister's experience, you should have just stayed out of it to carry. Because now you've entered something that doesn't concern you, trying to take up for your mother, and now see where it's ended. It's ended up with you, like us now knowing that you were part, you literally pulled out something on your mom. And my question is like, I know like a lot of us are like, Jackie, is in the right with Chantel, absolutely, in terms of her, Chantel pushing her mom and then her mom punching her. Fair enough, because to me, she threw the first punch by pushing her. If you push me, I cannot control how I would react. Reflexes at that point, right? So I get it. However, I think it begs a bigger question, which I want us to talk about a little bit, where it's like, what kind of upbringing did these children have and go through with Jackie and her husband that they felt like pulling a on your mother is okay? Pushing your mom is okay? And this is why I feel like a lot of things have happened that we don't know anything about. We do not know nothing about it. But of course, some deep rooted issues. Because let's be clear, right? Let's say one child out of the family does not turn out well or turns out to be a problem child. These things happen. But you don't have a relationship with two of your children, and there have been such disastrous encounters like this. This, for me, begs the question, what kind of toxicity did these people live in? What kind of toxicity did these people experience? It may not be directly their mother, it may be directly their mother and their father, right? But it may not be just that. It may be like maybe when their mother left them over with certain people, what was happening to these kids? Right? Because I can't imagine in my wildest dreams pulling out a weapon on any of my parents. Never in my wildest dreams. I can't think of ever shoving, pushing, unless you push me. If you push me, then I'm gonna push you because get out of my face. However, I cannot imagine pushing nobody, right? And me instigating that, right? Now, we did talk about, I think she genuinely thought her mom was going to hit her, and that's why she shoved her, that's why she pushed her. But I think there's a huge level of concern here. Hello, sugar. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. But I feel like there's a huge level of concern here, where it's like, what did these children experience as children? And I feel like Jackie has some accountability that needs to be shoved her way. It's like, what has happened? Was it a toxic environment that you provided for the children? Did you put them in the hands of people who did things to them? Did you, like, what happened? These are just questions, by the way. I'm not saying it as a fact. Let's just be clear. right? These are questions that I have because it's like, how can a child decide to pull out a weapon on you for it to get to that extent? That's some crazy ish. The fact that your daughter has three children that you have never met is also problematic. So it's like, what happened? What happened? And what responsibility are you taking in the demise of the relationship? Because you must have some responsibility as well. There is no way these two women, don't get me wrong, we've talked about how Chantel was wrong for pushing her mom. I will ring it and continue to say it until the wheels fall off, right? However, I feel like on the other hand, there is some accountability that can go to Jackie because this is some crazy ish. Two of your daughters, two of your children. We don't know whether the other children have qualms with her. We don't know. But two, one too many. Right? If it was one person, you can say, okay, maybe there was a problem child, blah blah blah, potentially maybe. But two, if there were two problem children, then it's like, okay, what kind of environment did they grow up in? And I don't want anyone listening to feel like, oh, I'm trying to like come for people's upbringing. No, absolutely not. Y'all don't even know what kind of upbringing I had or whether or not I had a good one, right? My point isn't even that. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to challenge us to also think about it from the perspective of these children. There is something that they have encountered and experienced that makes them feel it is okay to push their mom, that makes them feel that it is justified to pull out a knife on their mother, right? So we can't give them all of the accountability. There has to be some accountability to the parents as well, husband included. There has to be some accountability to go around for everybody. Okay, let me flip. Um, and then Chantel says, all right, there it is. The jealousy bug bit you. Now that all makes sense. Maybe you should have been messing with the prospect. Oh, then you wouldn't be in the situation that you are in. I feel like this is missing a little something. Okay, do you know what? Let me go quickly on the Bravo Shade Room directly and see, because it feels like it is missing something. It feels like it's missing something. Let's see. Because it's not landing well, and I feel like there is something I'm missing. It's not in the right order, I think. Okay. Let me share this tab instead. 1 second. Okay. Huh. That is literally what it is, actually. Uh okay. It's actually in order. I think it's just that it looks like Chantel went on a bit of a rant. All right, but let's keep reading for now. So I'm going to flip it over to the next page and then let's keep reading. So, um Section 8 ain't it? The constant commentary from you is given obsessed as if you need mommy's money and acceptance. Ooh. Girl, when this is all said and done, you're going to be sitting right there in that same spot, miserable and mad at the world, waiting for the next opportunity to make a TikTok and chime in on things you claim you are so healed from. Taunting me for experiencing some of the same issue you did makes you know better than her. You want attention from me that you don't get from her. Here it is, sis. Wow. You want to comment on everything but the facts at hand. You too have reached a level of violence with Jackie because of her mistreatment. That's why you pulled a on her in Sacramento. You have 3 kids she's never met. Okay, so that's the full thing. but she wants legal rights to mine. Do you hear yourself? You've been waiting to hop on the hate train, and it's so sad to see. I haven't spoken to you in 8 years. Wow. There's no reason for you to be on the internet making videos trying to be funny. We can both be hilarious, or you can stop trying to provoke a reaction out at me and just leave me alone. You out here on the front line standing up for someone that's never stood up for you. I need you to heal. And so, wow. Okay. Wow. That's crazy. It would be insane if Takari is actually jumping in because she wants her mama's validation and wants to use that to patch things up with her mom. Because if the root issues are not resolved, it's only going to happen again. So it's not going to end well either way. Okay. Then bundle of Brittany. You all know Brittany. Brittany Reno decided to join the chat. She's like, how soon they forget. You wrote a whole book detailing the way you were allegedly treated at Takari Lee. Wow, they must really be friends, because Brittany is going hard for Chantel. Do you know what? Despite everything, I'm glad to see her going hard, because it's nice to have like friends or people that like go hard for you. So I'm not going to, I fair enough, right? By the way, I actually read it. Ooh, she read the book. Girl, Brittany is invested, honey. Brittany read the book. None of us read the book, but Brittany read the book. Okay, girl. By the way, I actually read it. It felt very rushed and overall like a long text message you probably wanted to send her directly. Ooh, Brittany, not Brittany putting the, you know, putting the salt in the wound. I actually read it. It felt very rushed and overall like a long text message you probably wanted to send her directly. Your cry for help did not matter then because it never will. Wow, that is harsh. Do you care about the truth or do you want to be the one to tell it? She isn't going to love you any differently, get you on the show, or take a sudden interest in you, your life, or your children so you gain what exactly? Terrible A sister. Okay, girl. Brittany, I was with you on some things, but calling her a terrible A sister when you don't know what happened, just leave that. In the same way you were calling Jackie a deadbeat mother, you weren't there. Like, just refrain from that. Say your opinion, but refrain from like saying those buzzwords. Because when someone pops you in the mouth, now you gonna be sorry. But anyway, I do think there's some truth to what Brittany is saying about it. Feels very much like a wanting Jackie's validation in some way. Because when I saw the response that she made, I was kind of like, okay, she has a point because, the violence was too much. But to hear that she had actually pulled out a weapon on her mom, I'm like, girl, you've lost every opportunity to be able to tell me that I went too far. Because all I did was hands, right? You pulled out a weapon that could take her out if we're being completely honest, right? So yeah, you from me, then I'm like, girl, you that is definitely given that you wanted her validation. You were trying to fight for mommy's love, and you thought now that the favorite child is maybe out of the way, maybe mommy will finally notice me. That is what is given, and it's so sad. Like, I really think all of the parties need to be in therapy ASAP because this sounds like pretty serious. To have a sister you haven't talked to in 8 years, that's very serious to me. It's not as usual. This is serious stuff. Takari then said, all those women, they pay y'all to play with you, and you can't find a better bag than me. Huh? All those women, they pay y'all to play with. Okay. All those women, they pay y'all to play with, and you can't find a better bag than me. Flattered. Okay, girl. That, to me, that fell flat, but I don't know what you lot think, but to me that felt flat. Now let's talk about the other tweets. So Masika says, since we're on the topic, the way Brittany played with them people's religion to become that man's other wife is crazy. He took off and she took off them people's clothes. And it's interesting because people had already been questioning whether or not her conversion was true and was a journey that she was genuinely on. I think people need to stop changing religions or getting into things they don't understand because of people. You need to make sure that this is a decision that you're making for yourself, not because you found a man and you want a man. And I think like people just need to stay out of it because now the whole thing is not adding up. It's like, girl, did you really, was it ever true? Was it ever intentional? Because sometimes, right, people do convert and then, learn certain things about the religion and decide not to continue with it. That's different. But in this case, it's like, did you convert because you wanted a man? I would hope that that's not true because that's just ridiculous. All right. Brittany says baby mama 3 who faked a napping to promote their irrelevant OnlyFans. Since we're on the topic, religion is not exclusive. I never signed up to be one of several people are allowed to change their minds, and plenty of relationships are meant to be, but not meant to last. By 40 and fried. Oh, okay. So Brittany is letting it be clear that she is allowed to change her mind, and she absolutely is allowed to change her mind. Nobody is saying you have to stay in one thing. I think people are just questioning what your motives are to changing to that religion to begin with. People feel, and I'm speaking for the people, but people feel like she changed because she wanted that man, Kevin. And now that Kevin ain't with her, or she ain't with Kevin, she decided to jump ship. Now, I don't know what the truth is. What I do know is that she is no longer a Muslim. And as she said, she has changed her religion.